Well, good morning and welcome to Corona Fits here in Blackstone, Virginia, the center of the world. But then you too are at the center of the world. The title of this talk is Corona Lifts the Rock. Okay. Now, one of my favorite metaphors, and this is something common to all of our experience if you have a yard, is that in the spring or summer and you lift a rock, or maybe you go into the shed and there's a board or a plank or something and you lift it, and an ant colony had made its home there. And it was all, the ants were going out and getting their food, and the queen was there, and it was a little, perfect little colony. Everything was secure, and you lift the rock. And suddenly the ants go all over, chaos, all over the place. And then you watch, and the next thing you know, they've all moved on. And they've grabbed the food, they grabbed the eggs, everything knew what to do. Nobody was running around telling anybody what to do. There was no president. Everybody knew what to do. As an organism, see, the ants, we look at ants and we say, oh, there's an individual ant. I wonder what he's doing. We're in the kitchen at the dining room table, and a lone ant comes across and he starts checking for food. Now, what's he doing here? You know, why does he know what to do? How does he know what his mission is? How does he know where home is? How does he get back? Why is he so far? How does he communicate what he's found? Because the next thing you know, if there's a little bit of food on the table, you've got 5, 10, 20 ants. And the next thing you know, you have a line of ants going back to some distant colony. They've set up a chain of goods going, just like you get goods from China. It's like suddenly there's a line of ships coming from China. Oh, there's food. Or America, someplace, you know, you've established a line of communication, a chain of supplies, and everybody knows what to do. And they never bump into each other. You sit there and watch. You can learn a lot from ants. You sit there in the patio and you watch the ants go by, and they're coming this way and they're going that way and they're going like this, but they never bump into each other. They just move together. So an ant colony is not a bunch of ants, it's an organism. And they all know what to do without having any external communication. Nobody's running around. They don't have any telegraph. They don't have any messengers. The whole ant colony can move as one colony, as one organism. It's very interesting. So when you lift the rock, there's a momentary chaos, panic, if ants can panic, but they suddenly know what to do. And they move, the whole thing moves to another place. Very interesting. So Corona is like that. Our whole economy, our whole global network is a colony, and everybody was running according to the rules and regulations and the systems that we had set up. And you knew that when you went to Walmart, you'd have fresh food from Peru or whatever. All over the world, there'd be the goods there. Instant gratification. Go to Walmart or any store, Costco. Go to Costco and you can get anything you want from all over the world. Amazon. Click, click. It's on your doorstep, and next day from everywhere. What an amazing ant colony we have created. An amazing system of interconnected routes of goods flowing here, there, all on a time, perfectly coordinated. So you don't have any discomfort. Oh, I had to wait 3 days. Oh my God, what a bummer. I want it today. I want it not a week from now, not 3 days. I want it tomorrow. I want it today. I want it delivered. I want to order it. And I want all of this gap. You see, the whole system is designed to remove the gap between what I want and when I get it, because that gap is pain, you see. As a photographer, I'm retired now, but I have a studio here, and I've gone through from dinosaurs to mammals and the evolution of photography, from film and the expensive medium format cameras and the Nikons and the Canons and the film and the whole thing. And during that system, the photographer was dependent upon Kodak and these big graphic studios. So if you wanted a wart removed from your portrait, you sent it to the studio and they would remove the wart. But so all you did was take the picture and send the film off. And it would come back, and then you would make correct, send it off, and get the prints and everything. So there was this big system with the photographer in the studios. But then digital came, and voila! Now you don't have to send the film off. There's no film. You don't have to send it off to a print. Your printer prints it. And so you become, all of the Kodak went away. All these, the system collapsed, you see. And now the photographer with his digital camera and his computer and his printers, and we would do, make all the portraits. And well, let me show, well, you can't see this. I don't have one there, but I was going to show you portraits. Yeah, portraits all around. We press them onto foam board pictures, or we put the pictures printed on a 24-inch printer here. It's all done here, you see. So I was able to, I didn't have to pay the Kodak any money, but it created more work for the photographer. Anyway, I digress. The point is that the whole system shifted from something lifted the rock over the whole photography, film, camera industry. And then there's a moment of transition, and should I use film or digital? Which is better? And then I got to buy these new cameras, and now I got these Hasselblads and all that. What do I do with all of this transit? And now everything's digital, and we don't have to wait a week to get the portrait back. I have a customer, take a picture, you sit on the couch, I'll print it up. So the gap between desire and getting the object of desire keeps shorting, you see. And so even with our system today, so the whole system, and now Corona comes. And it's lifted the rock on this whole new system we've created that has shortened the pain of having to wait for your object of your desire, you see, to almost nothing, and now it's all gone. But what's happening is that we're inventing a new system. Now, my daughter came here from New York, and so she's setting up a studio in our shop. She's a singer, and all the jobs dried up in New York. And all of her friends, she's in this network of entertainers, they're all going online. They're all creating home studios. So she's creating a home studio. And somebody wrote, said, if you can record from your own studio, I've got work for you. So this whole thing is shifting. The rock, Corona lifted a rock, and now there's chaos, and now blah, blah, blah. So what is this? Are we all just individual ants? Or do we belong to a colony that we can't see? How do we know what to do? See, how do those ants know what to do when there's nobody telling them what to do? They just do it in sync. Birds. Look at a flock of birds. Particularly the famous ones are the starlings that fly in these, I forgot the name of them, but they create symphonies in the air. Schools of fish. Watch, see the schools of fish move when the predator comes in. They don't bump into each other. The pieces, the individuals move as one. But they do this when there's a threat, I think. But anyway, the point is, are we just a bunch of marbles that need to have a system where all of our little marbles flow And we become dependent upon the routes and the canals and the grooves of this big marble game, you know, my uncle used to have one, and it was a big thing of little paths, and you would punch a button and a little ball would come boop, 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 you see. But it would have to move on the routes established by the hour. So our system is kind of like that board where all of our marbles, our ships, our goods, our items, our stuff, we ourselves, our jobs, everything kind of like goes along these created grooves, you see. And we tweak it, you know, well, this needs to be fixed and that's, but we fix it within that large system. And we become dependent upon it. Look at the way Indian intersections are in India. And they've got an intersection of two roads and the traffic's coming in and they all just kind of like go through together and nobody hits each other. But we're very regulated here. I mean, if we took, what happens when you take away, you think we could do that? Take away the traffic lights? What would happen at our intersections if there were no traffic lights? Crash, you see. We become very dependent upon external regulation and laws. And that's why on the right, you have this mythology of freedom. I'd be free if I could just get rid of these regulations, you see. I'd be free if I could just get rid of this government that comes in and makes me do stuff I don't want to do, you see. So there's this, and this is particularly on the right, there's this fundamental memory, I would say, of our basic intelligence, our basic creative intelligence. So if you would just lift the rock of the government, everything would work naturally. Everything would work in the free market like ants, you see. No regulations, just let us all be and we'll somehow get through the intersection, you see. So it's kind of like a mythology of freedom in the sense that, oh, there's this basic intelligence here that is being crushed by the rock of civilization and intellectuals and science and, you know, let us be free, you know. But that's mythology. That's not true liberation. That's politicized liberation. A religion, a mythology, a mythos, because it's still not individual, it's still part of the system. But now Corona comes, and that has really lifted the rock of regulations and rules and regulations and systems and how do you do things. And there is no, with Corona, there is no rebel. You see, so our culture kind of set up the polarity of free and not free by being the rebel is free and the one who conforms to society and rules, the intellectual, the good, you know, so we create this polarity. Corona has crushed that. Corona has lifted the rock off of that. There is no polarity with Corona. And that's the liberation going on. So with my daughter right now, she's setting up her home studio. She's reinventing herself. And creative people are doing that all over. That's what creative people do. And your basic intelligence is creative, you see. So we all have this basic intelligence that realigns us with reality all at once, like the ants move their colony all at once together in harmony. There is a basic intelligence or goodness in us that is released when the rock is lifted. And suddenly we're all creating new avenues, we're creating new systems, we're creating new means of communication, we're creating new means of expression and content and the whole thing. And of course our technology is at the point where we can do this at home, where we can create new, like look at me, I'm standing here in my foyer talking to you. Who would have thought? See? So there's this tremendous shift going on. Corona is lifting the rock. And we're going to rediscover ourselves in new ways we never imagined, you see. Because that's what happens when the rock is lifted. Not a political rock, not a polarity rock, not I'm good and you're bad, I'm chosen and you're not, I'm free and you're not. All this polarity, you see, all that's going, Corona doesn't give a shit. That's what's so beautiful about it, you see. We're all in the same ant colony together. And we're all moving together and reinventing, recreating our colony, our systems, our human society. Spontaneously. Nobody's telling us what to do. That's why it's very ironic, you see, that the left says, oh, the president should tell us what to do. And the right says, no. I'll do what I want. You know, if I want to go to church with a mega church during Corona, let me do that. Anyway, I digress. So anyway, thank you for dropping into Corona Fits. See you tomorrow.